Welcome to Let's Play Gran Turismo 3, episode 60. Alright, so all of our international B license events are now done in this game, and officially, as a result, we are now ultimately over 50% complete in this game. And also, furthermore, after correcting an error that I made in one of the previous segments that I did, I basically re-recorded the first race, which was a mistake I made by deleting the footage from that original race. And yes, you do have the right to call me a dumbass as a result, because that's how incompetent I am, but anyways, let's move on to the other part of this game, which is going to be arcade mode. And well, you can probably hear about my constant complaining in that segment by the time I've uploaded that video. So this is arcade mode, and officially we can do quite a couple of things here, as of which we have single race, time attack, which I will be doing later on. We can also do free run, which is basically to test our skills on each of the circuits. We also have two-player battle, bonus items. We can also load our garage, and also iLink battle, which I assume is meant to be online multiplayer, I think. Anyways, so we have a total of 6 areas and 34 tracks we need to get through, and obviously what it basically says at goal is, well, we get the 2 ending movies, even though obviously I only have one of those ending movies so far, which is ending movie A. And so we have 3 difficulties here: easy, normal and hard, and well, obviously I'm going to go for the hard difficulty because, well, it's what you would expect. And these are the circuits that we are going to in Area A of arcade mode: Super Speedway, Midfield Raceway, Smoky Mountain, Swiss Alps, Trial Mountain, and Midfield Reverse to finish it off. So let's head to Circuit 1, which is Super Speedway. And well, obviously I'm going to be doing these pretty much by class, essentially, so I think I'm going to head over to Class B for the first race, and I think for the car that I'm going to use for race 1, well, I think I'm going to use the Sylvia for race 1, methinks. So we've got some reasonable cars here that we can use. And well, yeah, let's use the Sylvia. And we also get a choice of colour as well. So basically, whichever colour you want to choose, you can basically choose. And well, yeah, let's get this thing in yellow, and let's go to our first arcade mode race. And hopefully, I will not make any further errors whilst I am recording this game. And also, 5 laps around most of the circuits in hard mode of this game. And as I suspected, I'm already getting wheel spin off the line. And already I am starting to dominate this thing. As of which, in just the matter of basically 2 corners, I have already moved up from 6th place to 1st place. And already I'm looking to build up a comfortable margin, because that is just what I do. Hopefully by the time I'm done with this game, I will manage to upgrade the hard drive I'm using and basically upgrade it from hopefully a 32GB hard drive to hopefully a 64, maybe even 128GB per memory USB. Anyways, I am clearly decimating the field at the moment, as of which I have clearly chosen the OP car for this first race, and as I unlawfully expected from this car in this race, I am just unsurprisingly dominating this thing at the moment, and I will probably have to make a note in saying I do not use this car again, because I think that was a mistake. Anyways, 3 laps down and we still have 2 laps to go, and gap is now 4.5 seconds to the Honda S2000, and from what I can work out, I am clearly the dominator at the moment. And as far as I know, I think if you play on hard mode, it essentially counts towards overall progress. And obviously, I don't think it matters too much if I'm not doing all 3 difficulties, because I think it's basically just one difficulty where the progression counts the most. And officially, I am now 4.8 seconds clear of the S2K, and I think it's fair to say that this car has clearly proven to be the dominator, and I think as far as I know, if I complete every race on hard mode, I do not have to do the easy or medium difficulties in arcade mode, is what me thinks, but I could be wrong. And officially, it is going to be a clear domination run in the first race in arcade mode in the Nissan Silvia Spec Car Aero S15. I clearly dominated that race. So the S2K finished in 3rd, then it was my fellow Nissan, the 200SX. The Celica GT4 was 4th, then it was the Subaru Legacy Wagon, and then at the back it was the Integra, by just under 10 seconds. So, that was race number 1, and officially, we are now going to move onwards to race number 2. And just to be sure... Yep. It clears all 3 difficulties if we do these races on hard mode, which is exactly what I am doing. So, let's move onwards to race number 2, which takes place at Midfield Raceway. And this time, I'm going to be different, and I think I'm going to use the Nissan 200SX this time. And yeah, sure, why not? Let's go with purple. So it is time for race number 2 of Area A in arcade mode, which takes place at Midfield Raceway. And basically, same class again, except for saying that this time we are using the 200SX. So it's basically a Nissan again, but obviously I figured it would probably be best if I just use something different this time and not give myself a car that is clearly going to dominate the field. And as we were 3 wide going into the corner, I benefited the most because I'm now up into the 3rd position and looking more than keen enough to taking 2nd and 1st positions respectively, and I'm actually having a hard time trying to control the car at the moment as I'm overtaking these AI. Although, I'm certainly hoping this will be a closer race than Super Speedway was, because, well, personally, I think Super Speedway, that was a farce, personally. But, again, that's probably just my personal opinion of how I thought Race 1 went, but officially, at the moment, one thing that I can say for sure is that, at the moment, I have managed to take the lead, and obviously, this race, in comparison to Super Speedway, is definitely proving to be closer. And so, at the conclusion of lap 1, like it was at Super Speedway, we have taken the lead, and I am now leading this thing by 2 seconds at the moment. So, at the moment, this is actually proving to be pretty easy. So obviously, if I do basically all of these races on the hard difficulty, which is something I probably will do, pretty much hands down, I basically know for sure that overall it will clear the other difficulties for us, so we don't have to do the medium or hard difficulties in arcade mode. We just pass all of them if we do them on hard mode, which is basically what the idea is. And at the moment, this is proving to be pretty easy from what I can make out, because I'm already 2.3 seconds clear of the Celica, and because this is a 5-lap race, I'm looking probably more than certain to extending that lead even further, methinks. As we are now completing the second lap here at Midfield Raceway. And we are now onwards to lap number 3. And where I'm pretty certain that in the future I probably will have to re-record at least all of the old GT games on my channel, because obviously that is something I will need to do again without all the errors I've made so far. And I am pretty certain that obviously I have had more than my fair share of mistakes up to this point in this game. And so, at the moment, even though I am racing on the hard difficulty, essentially overall, I am still dominating this race, because I don't think rubber banding is very strong at the moment. At least in terms of the tracks that I'm currently racing on. Anyways, starting the 4th lap now here at Midfield Raceway. Just checking to see if my microphone is switched on. And we now have just 2 laps to go. So the gap is now 3.7 seconds to the Celica. And so, at the moment, it is proving to be a closer race than Super Speedway was, considering obviously that's only an oval. But fortunately, at the moment at least, I'm not having as dominant of a race as I did before, and even though the gap is building up, effectively it is not building up as much as it would be if I was using the Sylvia. Unfortunately for me at least, I was smart enough not to use that. And officially, well, looks like I'm not extending my interval by too much, because the AI do seem to close in the middle sector, even though obviously I tend to extend that variable for pretty much the rest of the lap. And officially we are now heading across the line now to starting the 5th and final lap here at Midfield Raceway, and gap is now 4 seconds at the end of this lap, so I am definitely not having as dominant of a race as I had at Super Speedway, fortunately. And officially I am currently virtually 4.2 seconds ahead of the Celica, even though I'm pretty certain this AI will close in for the middle sector, and then I will probably extend my interval once again as we head through the final sector. So heading down the hill once again, my prediction was correct, and officially we now head through the final 2 corners here at midfield, and ultimately we are going to sweep the first 2 races in arcade mode, and thereafter this we will be moving on to the dirt tracks, and I also set a new fastest lap to compensate. And in the end I won by 4.1 seconds over the Celica, then it was the Skyline GTS in 3rd, followed by the Honda Accord, then it was the other Celica that finished in 5th, and then at the back it was the Civic by around about 8.8 seconds. And where officially I am going to save this replay. And why? Because I want to. And my thumb just hit my headset. Whatever. Anyways, 2 tracks down and still 4 to go. So let's now head over to the first of our dirt tracks in this game, which is Smoky Mountain, and then we follow this up with Swiss Alps. And so there is only cars with dirt tyres that can officially enter these tracks, and well, obviously I do have some rally cars in my garage, but again, I want to keep this traditional, so I'm just gonna use the rally class. So we have 10 different cars we can use here, and well, obviously the car I think I'm going to drive for this first one as well. I'm going to drive the Citroen... Yeah, I'm going to drive the Citroen Zara, just because I dare to be different. And this is the car I'm up against. A Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 7 prototype. And the reason why I chose this, well, because obviously I wanted to do something that has not been done before, and I'm pretty certain that realistically this has not been done before, from what I can make out. And obviously, even though I will probably be getting a lot of understeer, this thing does have some good grip on the front tyres. Obviously, I'm hopeful in saying it will not be sliding around too much, and then by the time I do manage to get around on the dirt, I eventually manage to get myself around the course overall, and there was a little bit of contact there with the Evo 7, as of which I did of course decide to use the Citroen Zara, because obviously this is the only non-4-wheel drive rally car we have in this game. All the other rally cars in this game are of course 4-wheel drive, and obviously the gap at the moment is 0.3 of a second, as of which obviously rubber banding is of course stronger in the rally events than it is in the professional league events. So this race is actually proving to be pretty challenging at the moment, but I'm pretty certain I will manage to win this race eventually, as of which that is exactly what I have managed to do before. And obviously I have noticed an advantage with using a front-wheel drive car on this track, and that advantage is, well, I do not slide when I go through the corners. And furthermore, the front end actually grips to the dirt very well, in my honest opinion. So I can definitely see why this thing has its advantages, and oddly enough, in a way, I can actually see where the advantages of this thing are. As of which obviously it's basically front wheel drive versus 4-wheel drive. As I now have a 2.4 second interval to the Evo 7. As we are now halfway through this race. And we still have 2 more laps left to run, and as I anticipated, once I took the lead, I am already starting to extend my lead. So even though I had a terrible launch to start off the race in comparison to the Evo 7, once we managed to get past the first lap, and then once I managed to see where the Citroen looked like it had its capabilities, I eventually used those to my advantage, and as a result I am now officially leading this thing by just about 5 seconds. Or virtually 5 seconds, I should say. Because I am deeply hopeful in saying that I do not manage to fuck anything else up in this game. So, coming off the final corner now, and starting the 4th and final lap here at Smoky Mountain. And as of which we are now more or less under 7 seconds ahead of the Evo 7. So Area A at the moment is proving to be pretty easy overall in terms of difficulty, and officially as I suspected, he closes up in the first sector, and margins of course do not stay the same, although in saying that I am now under 9 seconds clear, but I'm pretty certain that interval is going to shrink, because there are certain parts of the course where the AI are quicker than me, and certain parts of the course where I am quicker than the AI on the course overall. As I now head through the final corner and go out just a little bit wide there, and officially, there we go. So once I took the lead, I basically dominated the rest of that race in my Citroen Zara, and in the end the winning margin was, Jesus, 11.2 seconds basically. Fucking hell. I did not expect this car to be that fast. well, guess that's just the benefits of using front-wheel drive, and also using a more nimble car, essentially. And already saved a replay, so there we are. We are now halfway through arcade mode, and so let's move onwards to our second dirt track, which is the Swiss Alps. And obviously go into the rally class once again, and I think the car I will use for this will be actually, yeah, let's use the old school Impreza rally car, since I've already driven the prototype. So yeah, it is basically Scooby versus Scooby, essentially. Basically, the present Subaru Impreza versus the previous Subaru, essentially. So, modern day Impreza versus old school Impreza, because this is 2001, this game. And already I'm starting to open up an interval. Considering obviously the one thing that I do love about Swiss Alps in this game is the fact on saying that we are literally starting side by side, and it definitely did not take me long to take the lead immediately, as of which I am now officially 2 seconds clear of the Impreza prototype, and already I'm looking to evidently extend my interval, as the gap is now 2.6 seconds to the Impreza prototype, and the powers that might be, that is probably how much faster I am than this AI. Even though I'm pretty certain there has got to be a twist here somewhere if I'm dominating this much. And I set a 129.999 on my first lap. So basically a 1 minute 30 was the time I set on that first lap. And already my lead is looking to inevitably extend. So the gap is now pretty much 4.5 seconds to the newer Impreza, and I am pretty certain that this is where I am pretty much out on another one of my domination runs. So, arcade mode at the moment is proving to be pretty easy overall, because I've managed to sweep up pretty much all 3 races so far, and this one is looking like it will evidently be the 4th that I managed to sweep, as of which I am now 6.3 seconds clear of the Impreza prototype, and I am pretty certain that margin will not stay the same, and obviously it does not. As we now head through Sector 2, and I'm still pretty certain, to say the least, that I probably will extend my interval pretty much hands down up to this point. And officially I think it's fair to say that at the moment, at least through Area A of arcade mode, that at the moment this is proving to be very easy. Anyways, final lap, because obviously it is only 4 laps on the dirt tracks. And well, most of the tracks in arcade mode, at least on the hard difficulty, most of them are 5 laps. But others are 4 laps, and obviously pretty much all of the all of the rally tracks in this game are respectively 4 laps, officially. And yes, I probably will save a replay of a rally car through one of these segments somehow. It's probably what I will do. Anyways, 10.8 seconds is now the margin to the Impreza prototype. I'm pretty certain that interval will extend as we now head through the final sequence of corners. Just got one more hairpin turn to negotiate, and then I'm pretty much home free for victory for the 4th time in a row. And there we go. And I also set a new PB in the process. And my winning margin at the end was overall 12 seconds. So that's literally how much I dominated that race. So, arcade mode at the moment is definitely proving to be a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Anyways, we still have 2 tracks to go. So, that's both of our dirt tracks now done and dusted in Area A, and now we return to the road courses. So let's now head over to Trial Mountain, and where, since I have used Class B cars for the first 2 races, I'm going to move over to Class A this time. And I think for the car I'm going to use, well, I'm going to use a car that I've not used yet, officially. Let's see, what we got here. Could use the Supra. Also use the roof, although I'm thinking about this. Actually, you know what, let's use the Impreza. And as for the colour, well, actually, no, I'm going to use the Skyline instead. So, yeah. Let's go. So yeah, I'm using the Skyline R34 for this race. Because I'm trying not to make the same decisions as other YouTubers, essentially. But yeah, I'm using the Skyline for race number 5 in this, and already I'm proving clearly why I'm definitely making an impression. Because I have already pretty much sliced my way up to the 3rd position in the matter of just basically 3 corners, and currently stuck behind the Evo 7. And of course, I'm pretty certain the NSX probably will be a serious challenger for this race, methinks, because obviously he does have incredible speed, and at the moment I am proving, of course, to be faster in spite of my car being heavier, because 4-wheel drive versus 2-wheel drive. And officially, at the moment, I am actually being challenged in this race at the moment. As of which, obviously, I will not be using the same cars for each of these races. I will be trying to use as many cars as I can throughout arcade mode officially, and at the moment, of course, as I suspected, I am now taking the lead as I finish the first lap. And ultimately, I'm now pretty much 3/4 of a second clear of the NSX now, but at the moment, because I am not the quickest car here in this pack at the moment, here in this pack at the moment, I'm actually in quite a close battle with the NSX at the moment, because the gap is only 6/10, and I'm pretty certain that through certain areas the interval probably will shrink. As of which, I am definitely being challenged in this race at the moment, which is exactly what I was wanting to see up to this point, and officially, I'm managing to extend my interval through the corners, but obviously he is able to close up again down the straights. This is the sort of battle that I was searching for, as we now officially start the third lap here at Trial Mountain, and the interval is slowly extending, but I'm pretty certain the NSX probably will catch back up to me as we head down the back stretch, which seems to be the strong point of the NSX. As of which the interval is now less than 2 seconds to the NSX. As we head through Sector 1, and pretty certain the interval will shrink as we head down the back stretch. So it's now down to under 2 seconds. So I might be extending just a little bit here, but I'm hopeful in saying the NSX will continue to challenge me for the race lead, even though it will probably not be long before I officially string out into the first position. As of which, obviously, I'm already in first position, but I mean, ultimately, you know, extending my lead is what I meant to say. So, I think it's fair to say that the positions by now have probably balanced out. And I do manage to set a new PB in terms of my best lap time. Ultimately, at the moment, I'm doing very well. Even though I'm probably going to need some water after this, because commentary is dehydrating me, officially. So, the gap is now 3 seconds as we head onto the back stretch, and I think it's fair to say this is where I now continue to extend my lead. as we now head through this hairpin turn once again, and we still have 2 more hairpin turns to negotiate up to the end of this lap. So I think it's fair to say I'm now extending my lead. As of which these AI in arcade mode just choose to settle down. Anyways, final lap. And I'm not extending my interval by too much over the NSX. But obviously the simplicity of arcade mode is proving why exactly I'm continuing to gradually extend my lead. Alright, so heading on to the backstretch once again here at Trial Mountain now for the 5th and final lap, and ultimately I can now say that unless I hit the wall, I am pretty certain that I probably will end up winning this race, is what me thinks. So, now heading down the hill to the final hairpin turn here at Trial Mountain, and we still have the chicane left to negotiate. And then after this, we are basically winners once again. Alright, so pretty close race overall, at least with the AI it was a close race from 2nd to 5th. But eventually, once I did manage to take the lead away from the NSX, I basically pulled away. So the Evo 7 was 3rd, followed by the Evo 6, then it was the R33 Skyline in 5th, and then at the back it was the 3000 GT. So, that was Trial Mountain. And so, let's now move on to our final track in Area A of arcade mode, which is Midfield Reverse. And officially, I think I'm now going to head over to Class S for this, and we've got a reasonable selection of cars we can choose from here. And unfortunately, the Lister is not one of them. And well, I've already used the Astra, so I think I'm going to use the Loctite XL GTR, just because I want to, for this final race, and where I'm pretty certain this will probably take us about less than 6 minutes to complete. Alright, so, our final track in the first area of arcade mode, and it is at Midfield Reverse. Officially, I am starting to get myself up to speed with race cars again. Because yeah, and we have the Ford Falcon in this race, and oh fuck me, I did not mean to do that. I did not mean to cut the corner. But as of which, trying to look for an opening on the inside of my fellow Loctite XL GTR, and I managed to overtake the Astra as well in the process. And now we also have the Ford Falcon in this race, which is actually nice to see. And I am of course hoping that I do manage to find a way past him, even though obviously I'm not going to do it on the first lap. And the Astra is trying to move in on us again, but I managed to throw the block on the Astra, and the Falcon is now challenging the NSX for first position, and I just gave the Falcon a little bit of a nudge there, and this time the Astra is wanting to get involved in the fight, and the Astra had me locked on the inside curb there, and ultimately I have now taken the second position. And all I need to do now is find a way to get past the Falcon, which I'm hoping will not take me too long, and hopefully I will manage to do this properly and not cheat my way past the Falcon. And in saying that, the Loctite Zexel GTR, or at least my twin sibling, as I should probably call him, is trying to daringly go for a pass, but I am not allowing that to happen. And as we now head up to the end of lap number 2, I pull off the short shift as we head on to the start-finish straight. We are side by side as we go down the straight, and down the inside I go of the Falcon, who is just managing to hold on to first position. And obviously, at the moment, I'm doing a pretty good job, as of which I'm now a second clear of the Falcon up to this point, and officially I think this is probably the point in where I hold on to the lead. Yep, 2 seconds. So I think this is where I am more or less going to expectedly dominate the rest of this race, pretty much. Because that's basically what I've been doing before, and I'm pretty certain I will probably do this again. So heading down the front stretch and setting a lap under 1 minute and 10 seconds. And all I have to do now is just pretty much continue to extend my lead. And oh, damn it. Oh, dicks. Okay. It's alright, it's fine. I managed to save it, and officially the AI are now catching up again as a result of that near miss. And I was basically short shifting to see if I could get more acceleration, and ultimately at the moment of course I am doing very well. So it's basically Super GT versus V8 Supercar versus DTM, as of which my twin sibling has now taken second position, very briefly, but the Falcon is trying to come back. Meanwhile the Astra is trying to have some involvement in this tussle, and officially we are now onto the final lap here at midfield reverse, and this time the Astra does manage to take over second position, and I am still cutting the corners. Accidentally. Not intentionally, accidentally. And so the gap is now 2.6 seconds to the Astra as we head through Sector 2, and I am pretty certain this is going to be a clean sweep to start off arcade mode. And so, there we go. And so, these are the final results. So in the end, both my twin sibling Zaxel GTR and the DTM Astra finished second and third, ahead of the Falcon, and then at the back it was the two Super GT Honda NSXs. The Roybrig NSX finishing ahead of the Castrol Mugen NSX. And just to be certain, yep, I do have a replay saved. And so, let's now go and check to see if this does affect our progress, but officially, we have now completed the first area of arcade mode, and we have now officially unlocked Area B, which we shall be doing next time, but obviously I'm going to check my progress to see if it's changed anything, and officially, yes it has. So we are now from 50.9% up to 54.3% complete with this game. Because apparent as it might be, arcade mode holds quite a large chunk of this game in terms of overall progress. And well, obviously, because this is not simulation mode, my race wins and race starts, they remain the same. But yeah, that was Area A, and next time we shall be doing Area B. So with that, stay tuned for more of Gran Turismo 3.